What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Timeless Movie Podcast, episode number 25. My name is Victor Vasquez. Thank you so much for coming back and listening. Can't believe it's already June, halfway through 2020 already. We've seen so many great movies, and I am excited to be talking for another movie and reviewing it. For this episode, we're going to specifically be talking about Top Gun Maverick. It came out during Memorial Day weekend. I got to check it out on Memorial Day, go ahead and kind of discuss and detail out what my thoughts are on this movie. For any newcomers that are coming in, welcome. What we do on this podcast is really just talk about any of the new movies that I've seen recently in theaters, try to give you my thoughts, why I wanted to go watch it, what were some of my favorite scenes, would I recommend going to watch it in theaters or stream it, and then in the last segment, really talk about, is this movie timeless? Can I see myself watching it in the future multiple times? Just to throw out some of theirs on the top of my head. Some of my favorite movies and timeless movies for me are like Inception or The Dark Knight or Endgame. Those movies that are just such an experience after you leave the theater that you're like, I can't wait to watch this again. So that's what we try to do every time we watch a new movie. Is it ridiculous? Probably, but we're going to keep going anyway. So let's go ahead and jump into the first segment to discuss my general thoughts about why I wanted to watch Top Gun Maverick. First reason, got to call it out, Tom Cruise. Another movie, another action movie specifically, I'm always down to watch Tom Cruise. Whether it was Edge of Tomorrow or any of the Mission Impossible movies, it's just so fun to kind of see him in action and seeing him kind of try to do his own stunts or doing things that are over the top crazy. I always enjoy that. And so I thought it's just a great opportunity to see him again in a fighter jet, just like he did in Top Gun in 1986. And I just got even more excited to kind of see the different types of ways that he was going to be able to interact and what craziness he was going to be able to pull off as well. I'm also interested to see how they would continue the story after the first Top Gun. It came out in 1986, so it's already 37 years ago. And I wanted to really kind of delve into what was their thought process, like how are they going to be able to continue it? Are they still going to be able to kind of follow that same story? Is he just an older Maverick? Is he still going to be flying? What is he going to do? Who is he going to teach? And so again, I was really kind of interested to see where the story would go with Tom Cruise as Maverick and what other characters would really come into play in this story. Also wanted to see again if how they would kind of address a lot of the different types of things or how it would play out. Would it still feel like obviously movies have changed since 1986, but I really wanted to see, okay, would they try to capture that kind of nostalgia of that movie, or would they just kind of make it more of a modern film like they do now? So again, just kind of interested to see how they would take it, and would this movie at least compare or be better than the original Top Gun? So that's again something that I was thinking of before I watched the movie. Also, one of the other things that got me interested in watching it was I saw Dolby Cinema preview and was really blown away at how real the action looked. They showed off some of the scenes of the FA-18 jets that they were using, and they were just kind of flying over some crazy mountain ranges. You could see Tom Cruise in the actual cockpit. And, now that we've kind of seen him like in Mission Impossible Fallout, where he actually flew the helicopter in that specific scene, he flew it himself. He has licenses for different types of planes. So I was just kind of curious, okay, if he's in the cockpit and if he's like, is he really flying these fighter jets? What the heck is going on? And how come they made it look so damn real? All these actors are kind of giving off these emotions that just kind of make you think, like, it almost makes you second guess, like, is it real? So that alone, that Dolby Cinema preview, was like, I didn't even need to see a trailer. That preview alone just got me kind of even more excited to check out and see, okay, how are they going to try to up the ante with showing these different types of jets and having them fly around wherever the specific terrain was as well. And then last but not least, this is more of like a personal thing, but I really wanted to know what was going to be Maverick's fate after this film ended. Like especially when we have a specific film that goes through and has a sequel years later. You think about the Star Wars films where they brought back the original cast, like Luke, Han, and Leia, and then, how they treat those characters. Not saying that it's going to be the same for this one, but I had a thought in my mind of what would happen to Maverick. Is he going to just pass the baton to the next generation? Is it going to now continue and become its own franchise? Really just curious to see how it would kind of all go, and what would happen to his character specifically. Would he end up, passing away, or would he just kind of, again, retire and ride off into the sunset, knowing that he's probably one of the best fighter pilots in the world in the film as well? So again, just some of my thoughts, just random ideas that kind of came into my head before I actually wanted to watch this movie. But again, all those different elements got me even more excited to go watch it as well. All right, awesome. Well, let's jump in to my detailed thoughts about the movie. I was able to check it out, like I said, on Memorial Day. I got tickets for Dolby Cinema. Again, after watching that Dolby preview, there was no other choice for me to go. I had to go see it in Dolby Cinema. And so, without question, I hope this doesn't sound like hyperbole, but it's probably the best movie I've seen at a Dolby Cinema theater. There have been a lot of movies that I've been able to check out this year alone in Dolby Cinema. Like the Batman. I also got to see The Northman. I also got to see Uncharted. And I don't know. I can honestly say that this film is probably the best one up there. Not, of all the films that I've seen, but more so the fact that I think the Dolby Cinema does it so much justice. The surround sound and the big screen really lend itself in order to be able to capture all of those specific elements when you're in the cockpit with Tom Cruise or any of the other characters. You're able to kind of just feel when they move, or whenever you see your faces, and they can actually feel the G-force that they're kind of getting when they're in the cockpits flying. I'm not saying that you could feel it, but you could almost kind of sense it. Man, it almost seems like I could probably feel it when they're doing these crazy turns and going around the different mountain ranges. It was unreal. And as compared to other movies, a lot of the different movies, you can watch them in Dolby Cinema, but they don't really have a big difference, I'll give you one example. Uncharted. I thought that movie was going to be, super cool because it's like an adventure movie, and it's, and I thought the sound was going to be awesome. It really didn't make a difference. It wasn't that big of a change. Yes, it was a bigger screen, but it didn't really add anything to the movie. Whereas here in Top Gun Maverick, I think the sound is everything here. Which again leads me to my next thing is I thought the sound was unreal. It legit felt like you were flying with Tom Cruise and the rest of the cast in those F-18s. And it just added so much to the experience of watching the movie that anytime, again, they would turn, I felt like I almost was turning in my seat because of how loud those FA-18s were. My seats would move in the Dolby Cinema Theater. And I love that. Again, I really enjoy when you can just kind of get so immersed into the specific experience or film that you're watching that, again, it just makes you kind of feel like you're in that setting. And it really just sets it apart. There's only been a couple of movies where I feel like the Dolby Cinema, really elevated it. Other movie that I would say is probably The Northman. Again, another movie that really takes you into that setting, right? Where you're kind of in that environment, stuff like that. Again, that where the Dolby Cinema audio and the screen just kind of make that experience even more enjoyable. Another one is Batman. The Batman was awesome to see in Dolby Cinema. Whenever you see that car chase scene, it actually feels like you're with the Penguin or you're with Batman. So again, all these different elements, I thought that the Dolby Cinema really lended itself to adding to my enjoyment of going to see this movie in the theaters as well. Another thing that I really enjoyed was the story and the message of the film. Again, I thought that was really cool how they actually portrayed that entire story. For me, the message of the film was really about a man having to kind of go through change. You have, in this case, Maverick, Pete Mitchell, played by Tom Cruise. He's really just kind of stuck in this place where he doesn't really want to move on. He wants to be a fighter pilot his whole life because that's really what he enjoys to do and what he loves to do. And then in the film, he's kind of faced with the different types of items that kind of make him change or force him to change. And how does he kind of deal with that kind of a challenge? Other things are, facing your fears. There's situations where Maverick gets put into situations that has to force him to kind of go head first into his fears, whether it's past relationships where there's been emotional trauma, relationships where, he gets to meet a prior lover, different stuff like that kind of make him contemplate and make him kind of second guess really what's going on in his life. They just portrayed that really well. Again, the story was also super enjoyable, nothing too crazy or complex, but it's just super straightforward. And I think when it's, when a story is very easy and easy to follow, and again, it just all makes sense, it just makes for that entire movie experience to just kind of flow super fast, which that happened to me as well. I also thought that the cast did an awesome job, from Miles Teller, Glenn Powell, Monica Barbero, Jennifer Connelly. Everyone that had some good screen time just did a really good job with their respective characters, and you saw a lot of different types of characters interacting with each other. You had Glenn Powell, who played Hangman. Everybody kind of goes by their call name in the Top Gun school. He was kind of like that cocky fighter, very similar to how Maverick was in the original Top Gun. Very cocky, thought that they were the best, fighter jet pilot in the world. You had Miles Teller, who ended up playing Rooster as his call name. He kind of has that relationship with Tom Cruise's Pete Mitchell, where, it's kind of like a father-son, pseudo father-son, obviously. I'll get to that a little bit later. But again, you just have these different interactions and the chemistry between the cast that it just works so well. Nobody kind of felt out of place, which is really good. Okay, as far as nitpicks go, I honestly don't have that many. The only things that I can probably pinpoint, and again, these are just personal nitpicks. There's definitely scenes where, you're going full throttle, it's going quick, and then all of a sudden it kind of slows down a bit because I think it's trying to introduce a character or remind you of different types of situations. One example is when they introduce the character of Penny Benjamin, which is played by Jennifer Connelly. She ends up being the love interest of Pete Mitchell in this film, and again, they kind of slowed that down a little bit after kind of showing Tom Cruise flying the different types of jets and coming into this bar and being introduced to Jennifer Connelly's character, and you can just feel it slow it down a little bit, but then the film does a great job to kind of pick back up and kind of get you invested once again. Now that's really just a nitpick again on my side. Other than that, I thought they presented the entire story and the narrative really well. Again, besides those quick slowdowns, they still do an awesome job to kind of get you back into the action. Like, hey, we're reminding you that, yes, we're trying to introduce you a couple of characters. We're trying to introduce you to the new recruits for Top Gun. That doesn't mean that we're not going to show you any action. And they bring you right back in. And so it was an awesome experience. To me, I thought the film was much better than the 1986 Top Gun. I really loved everything about it. Everything from the action scenes to the story. Nothing felt slow. Again, nothing felt like it shouldn't have been there. I even thought that the runtime was pretty good. 2 hours and 11 minutes. Didn't feel too long. Didn't feel too short. It just hit that nice balance of in between. Just to kind of give you overall thoughts about the movie. It deals with Maverick going into the situation where he is now called back to Top Gun. Not to fly, but to be an instructor. The problem here is that he has a couple of recruits that join in again, these hot shots that think that they're the best flyers in the world. One of those students is actually Miles Teller's character, who is actually the son of Goose. If anybody remembers, spoiler warning, in the original Top Gun, 1986, Maverick had a wingman, or a partner really, that flew with him, who was called Goose. And he ended up passing away and dying in the film because of a malfunction in the ejection of one of their FA-18 fighter jets. And once that happened, again, he ended up passing away in the film. What ended up showing is that now they kind of highlighted that, now his son kind of is following in his footsteps. So Rooster, following in his father's footsteps to become a fighter jet pilot, now has to deal with basically the man responsible, or at least he thinks is responsible for killing his dad, which was Maverick. And so they kind of highlight that relationship throughout the film, where Maverick is trying to be that, a good figure and a good father figure really for Rooster, in order to kind of show him like, hey, I'm just trying to look out for you. And that's where you kind of see Rooster kind of reject him at all costs. He doesn't really want to do anything with Maverick. He doesn't really want to learn anything from him. And then you see that relationship evolve as the film goes on. And then obviously you see both of those characters are complete, where by the end of the film, they obviously kind of have to either decide, are you going to be my wingman? Are you going to work with me together? Or are we just going to crash and burn? And so I'm not going to spoil how that actually ends for the film, but I really want you guys to go check it out as well. It's just a great story. And what can I say? The action scenes in this one just are mind-blowingly good. It just feels like every actor and every character that was in the cockpit of one of those fighter jets, it just seemed like they were actually the ones flying it. They were able to actually mount cameras on those specific fighter jets and just show all of the crazy movements. The training aspects of what they did was incredible. You see, Maverick kind of show off and do a lot of different types of crazy stunts, go inverted in his jet. And again, it's all of these different types of sequences just kind of get you immersed in the film and make you think like, whoa, you don't even second guess that like, yeah, like it's probably a stunt double. It's just almost like I see these actors, they're in the cockpits, and it's just amazing to kind of see how well they filmed this movie and all of its action scenes. I definitely recommend, guys, you guys go check it out. This film was just an awesome experience for me. Everything from the sound, from the cast doing a great job, to Tom Cruise just killing it as Maverick again. Just really good. I really don't have that many negatives besides, a couple of slow parts. But again, those are just my thoughts as well. All right, everybody. Now I kind of want to move on to the next section, which is really going through what my favorite performance in the movie was. Pretty easy for me. I got to give it to Tom Cruise. This man is able to portray a more mature Maverick as compared to the original Top Gun in 1986. Like I mentioned before in my segment number 2, in the original Top Gun, Maverick was the cocky one. He was the one that believed like he is the number one fighter pilot in the world. Here, he portrays again a man now 30 years later having to face that challenge, right? Having to face the challenge of, people are continuously telling me that I have to move on. I can't be a fighter pilot for the rest of my life. And he's just kind of sticking his ground and saying, no, I can be whatever I want to be. I can be what I was made for, really. All he enjoys doing is flying. And so while the whole world is telling him that he has to give it up, he kind of just stands his ground and says, I can't. I just have to be what I have to be, which is a great fighter pilot. And so he has to, again, portray and show that, and even in one of the scenes of the films, he kind of explains to some of his generals that, he's not a teacher. He's just a good fighter pilot. He can only do so much from the teaching aspect of it. And again, Tom Cruise just delivers a great performance to kind of show that, that conflict where he knows that he eventually has to give it up, but he's not ready to. And so what does he do? He obviously kind of takes his students and shows them what those real life experiences are and how one simple mistake and one item of thinking when you're flying a fighter jet will kind of cause you so much trouble. And so it was so cool. Again, it shows how Tom Cruise can evolve this character even after 30 years where he hasn't played Maverick. And he can show them that how he can be a mentor to, like Rooster or to Hangman or to Phoenix or to whoever the call names were in this movie. It just showed, again, why he had the best performance, again, for me in this specific film. Also want to shout out Jennifer Connelly and Miles Teller. Both of them did really well in their specific characters. I also wanted to call them out just because they both actually had a lot of screen time and their characters really revolved a lot around Maverick. Jennifer Connelly, again, she played Penny, the love interest of Maverick in this film. And again, they had a lot of different types of scenes where you can kind of see them flirting together, kind of showing that connection where like, are they going to get together? Are they not? And so it's a lot of good stuff. So Jennifer Connelly played it really cool as well. She seemed like very confident and just always kind of trying to make Maverick doubt, like of what they were going to do. Was she going to invite him into her house? Was she not? Making him pay for the tab at the bar, just making him look like a fool. It was just all this funny stuff that was happening in the movie. As for Miles Teller, again, he played Rooster, the son of Goose. And basically he had to kind of show off the challenge of being against Maverick at the beginning of the film. He had to kind of show off and see that he didn't want anything to do with Maverick. He didn't want to talk to him. He didn't want to take any advice from him. He wanted to kind of do it his own path and really just be something that Maverick was not. And so that, again, was the challenge. And Miles Teller did that really well. He showed off how, at the beginning, again, he was super cold shoulder to Maverick, didn't really want anything to do with him. And then, again, you see his character kind of evolve as he gets to see that, again, Maverick really is only trying to do what's best. He's only trying to show him what he has learned throughout the various years. And obviously show Rooster that, again, he didn't do anything to his father. He loved his father very much as a brother. And so that's really all he wanted to kind of walk through as well. So again, shout out to Miles Teller. Jennifer Connelly, they both did really well, but my favorite performance was Tom Cruise. All right, now that I've explained my favorite performance, I want to cover my favorite scene of the movie. Big spoiler warning for anybody that has not seen Top Gun Maverick. Again, I highly recommend you guys go watch it. So definitely, pause. You can like the video, or you can actually save it to your library and come back after you watch it. But if you have not seen it, I definitely recommend you not listen to this part. Okay, hopefully that was enough time for you guys to jump away. But my favorite scene of the movie actually happens almost like around the beginning of the third act, where Maverick is trying to train the new recruits to Top Gun. He's trying to basically take them through a course where they're going to actually have to leverage their speed and their ability to kind of fly throughout different types of terrain. Where this actually takes place, I think, it's not really clear, but they're trying to basically bomb a respective mountain that's kind of holding different type of weaponry and missiles. They don't call out exactly what country it is. It looks like it's in a snowy mountain range, so it could kind of like be Russia or somewhere else. Not really clear on it, but basically what Maverick is trying to do is take his entire recruiting class to an entire course that's going to mimic this exact route that they're going to take. And they have to basically complete it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And so he only has 3 weeks to show the entire crew how to do it. And, the weeks go by and nobody's able to hit that mark. Everybody is kind of failing. They're not able to do it. They end up failing all the different types of tests that Maverick is throwing out to them. And so everybody's kind of down. They're all kind of thinking, well, this can't be done. What the heck are we going to do? So what does Maverick do? He does exactly what he is meant to do, and that is be in the sky and fly. And he basically gets and practically steals a fighter jet in the movie. And he ends up going through, and it goes through the exact course. And he shows all of the different recruits how it can be done. And not only does he do it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, he actually completes the entire course in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That scene literally gave me chills, because you're literally 2 minutes and 15 seconds just going through in the cockpit, watching Tom Cruise navigate this exact plan that he has about going through different terrain. And you just kind of cut to different transitions of the recruits all watching him. And then you cut right back to Tom Cruise kind of feeling the G-force as he goes around up. It's just unbelievable motion. And again, that one scene was mind-blowing. I'm probably not giving it justice, but I definitely recommend that. If there was one scene that I can hopefully explain to kind of sell you on watching Top Gun Maverick, it'd probably be this one. It was just so cool to see him kind of do that, and obviously complete it in 2 minutes and 15 seconds and show the entire recruiting class like, hey, this can be done. You just got to listen to me and trust that you can have this ability to kind of fly through the terrain and you'll succeed. And again, that's really what he tried to accomplish, and he did. And that kind of motivated the entire Top Gun recruits to make sure that they can actually complete this mission. And so it was so cool. It gave me chills. I mean, it's not like anything was going to happen, because again, it was from a testing environment. He was just kind of testing out the actual route of what they were going to take. But just seeing him kind of use that ability to fly to motivate the entire Top Gun recruits was super awesome. I got goosebumps, and it was really such a cool scene to watch as well. All right, everybody, next segment that I want to cover is would I recommend watching in theaters or streaming? I'm pretty sure I've already answered this question earlier on with all the things that I've been describing, but 100% recommend to go see this in theaters. Not only do I recommend to go see it in theaters, I actually recommend to go see it in Dolby Cinema. I honestly believe that this is one of the few movies where Dolby just kind of elevates this to another level, and it just makes it a whole lot better of an experience than watching it at home. Definitely don't watch it at home. I don't even think they're just going to stream it. I think it's only in cinemas at the moment. But I highly recommend, again, if you have the chance, Dolby is expensive. I won't lie. Maybe if you can see it at a matinee or early on in the morning, whatever you can do, check it out in Dolby Cinema, because it's just, again, it just makes the whole experience that much more enjoyable as you're watching them fly in those fighter jets, and just kind of you're in the cockpit with them. You're kind of flying with them. You're going through all these different types of items, and you're going through the mission with them. It just feels so cool to kind of experience that. The sound just makes it all that much more enjoyable. And again, I can't say enough good things about it in Dolby Cinema. Go check it out in theaters. Just go watch it. All right, everybody, now we come to the last segment, which is, does this movie have the potential to be timeless? For me, at this moment, after watching it, I've only seen it once, the film does have the potential to be timeless. I can watch those fighter jet scenes over and over again, and I don't think I could get tired of it. Now, is it going to have the same kind of feel and experience at home watching it as I did in Dolby Cinema? No, it probably isn't. But again, I think that's one of the elements that is going to make it a timeless movie, is those types of action scenes where you can just kind of feel that the specific jet kind of turning these specific ways. You can see the face of those specific fighters. You can see the face of those respective fighter pilots. You can see the G-force kind of going against their face. You can feel the pressure that they're going through as they complete the course. It is so cool to kind of see. I also think that the story that was told kind of, again, it lends itself to be one of those movies that are very easy to rewatch over and over again. Again, it's very much a simple story where, again, it kind of deals with, Maverick having to kind of deal again with those different types of challenges, whether it's facing Rooster and kind of, again, having to deal with the trauma that they face where he lost his best friend and Rooster lost his dad, or kind of facing the fact that the whole world is trying to tell him to change and he doesn't really want to do that. Again, those are kind of things that I feel like are really relatable to a lot of us that kind of will watch these movies. Some folks might relate to that kind of relationship between Rooster and Maverick. Some folks might relate to Maverick's situation of having to move on from the thing that you love. It deals with so many different types of emotions, and I think they hit a perfect balance where it's not too heavy, where it kind of becomes a sad movie, and it's not too ridiculous and over the top that it's a comedy. Again, I think it hit the perfect balance of really good storytelling and explaining Maverick 30 years later, as well as covering a lot of the action and using modern technology to kind of show off what these fighter jets can really do as well. So again, all those different elements to me, I think is what make up this movie being really good, and why I would consider it to be a timeless movie, again, because of the cool action that it has, because of the story and how easy it is to rewatch, as well as all the different characters that might come out that make it even more enjoyable to kind of pick and choose. Like, yeah, these characters are super funny, their call names are super funny, or, the different relationships that they have throughout the film as well. All right, everybody. Well, that is all I have in regards to episode number 25 of the Timeless Movie Podcast. More importantly, I really want to hear from you guys. What did you think of Top Gun Maverick? Have you had a chance to go check it out? And if you did, what did you think about the movie? Did you think it's a timeless movie? What were your favorite scenes? Did you feel like that, the same kind of feeling that I got when I was kind of, watching the movie? Did I, feeling like I was in the fighter jet with them? What are your thoughts? I really want to interact with you guys, so post those comments down below. All right, guys. Well, my name has been Victor Vasquez. This has been episode number 25 of the Timeless Movie Podcast. Be on the lookout in the next couple weeks for the next episode, where we'll cover the next movie and try to see if we can consider that one a timeless one. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks.